off it. I have no idea how bad it is. I should have given him at least a
Raise
year.
2,600 total bet. Cool. Cool.
Well, Benjamin's got 10-9 offsuit right now, and he's our big winner so far, up over $100,000. Three-handed here, and it's an interesting flop for Benjamin. He's flopping open-ended straight draw here.
Bet 6,000. 6,000 to call.
I'll just play so tight. I'll just fold.
And of course, you see 0% for Ellie there, and 0% for Benjamin because they had the same hand that would be chopped. And we'll see here. This is going to be pretty much who's going to put more money in the pot, huh?
6,000.
Often when people, you know, they say when both players have the same hand, the better player will win, and Eli has position.
Check.
Of course, there's also the question of building the pot. You know, if you're going to hit, you want the pot to be built before it gets there.
Of course, both players fearing that ace. Alezra on the button.
This is the sort of pot where your mindset, you know, if you're winning in the game, you may play it more aggressively.
Check.
Whereas if you'll play more aggressive if you're stuck. If you're losing.
Well, this will be interesting. Both players have missed. They both have 10 high. If it goes check, check, they'll chop it up. But you imagine one of them is going to put a bet in there, try to take this pot down.
Yeah, I can't imagine it going check, check. It's actually quite a nice card to bluff because it makes 4 cards to a straight. Anyone with a 6 in their hand will do it, so... I mean, Eli's not a man to be bluffed, but David is just getting away with everything, and his timing has been perfect.
Well, here comes the big bet from Benjamin. And look at that. He's out of position against Ellie, but he takes down the pot with the same hand.
One time I'm going to catch the bluff. I'm going to have a pair. I probably will lose then, but... Nice bluff. No, I mean, this was easy if you don't have it.
2,100 total bet. Fold. Fold.
And Patrick Antonius has bought in for another $100,000. And we have $1.5 million at this table, just constantly growing.
Fold.
Now Helmuth raised it up in early position, actually under the gun with a big ace.
Cool.
And he's going to get called by Tom Dwan.
He didn't bluff there, guys. Hard to believe, right? Hard to believe?
Dwan with the gut shot.
They got
Helmuth with a pair of queens.
They got a history, these two players, from the Heads Up Championship this year, the World Heads Up, and they got it all in. Phil had aces, and Tom had 2 10s and hit a 10, and that was all she wrote.
3,600. Called.
Of course, some bad blood between these two players.
Yeah, that Heads Up Championship weighing heavily on Phil's mind.
And that 3 of clubs changes a lot here. Dwan now has the gut shot, has also picked up the flush draw. How does he play this? We know he's got a bunch of weapons in his arsenal, a lot of moves.
Yeah, so gifted, Tom Dwan, like a young sensation, and Phil Helmuth, almost an old stager these days. It'd be interesting to see. I know Phil doesn't want to give up on this pot, but Tom bets this.
How much? 10,300 is the bet.
Makes a nice hefty bet there. 10,300 into a $12,000 pot.
I tell you, this is shaping up to be a phenomenal pot, because.
But you got to realize that, I mean, Helmuth can't beat a king, he can't beat Jack 10, really can't beat anything except a bluff, which is what Dwan's doing here.
I mean, he beats like Queen Jack, Queen 10, 10-9. They're the sort of hands that he is beating.
It was pretty simple because put you on 5-6.
You could have ace 10 of clubs.
You have the bottom hand of the stack.
You got to love the dynamic of his hand, and Helmuth throws it away, and is Dwan going to show? No, he doesn't show. He takes down the pot quietly. accomplishment.
Yeah, I mean, poker tournaments so tough, and just to win a couple of huge titles like that and all the other finals just make me very proud. But this is a cash game.
Now, Chris Ferguson there in first position. I know he plays really tight. King, Jack of spades. Is that too tight?
Not necessarily. I mean, position is everything in these games. I think it was if it's Ace Jack, he would have played it, and it's just you've got to play how you're comfortable. And this is a very, you're not just playing any game. You're playing against some of the toughest players. So you can justify it, even though I think it is a little too tight. I can justify it.
Well, Gus Hansen likes his King 9 offsuit in late position. He buys himself the button, and Ivy, always defending his big blind. He's going to defend with the Ace 5 offsuit. Tough hand to play out of position, isn't it?
It is. It is. It's very difficult to hit a flop where you're comfortable.
Like here, obviously, he's got the best hand. He's well in command of the hand, but how does he know it?
2,500 called. Check.
Does Gus fire again?
No, and he's done with this, obviously. You look at a flop like that, Ace 10, 10. If Ivy called you with any kind of hand, you can't beat him.
I mean, Ivy's sick enough to float him out of position just to call with no hand, but...
And steal it on the river.
Yeah. I mean, it will go through Gus's mind that he'll be thinking now, what could I beat? He doesn't even beat King Jack, unfortunately, or... he could beat Queen Jack, is like the only hand he can beat.
On a spot like that, Hansen almost has to raise or fold, right?
No, not necessarily. There are times when you can call.
Call with King High?
Yeah, you can call with King High.
You'd feel sick if Ivy turns over King Jack, though.
Yeah.
Buttons in front of Phil Hellmuth. Action on Patrick Antonius. And his shaved head.
All of you were here. But I asked, I asked and he said he was not.
It's just not fair.
Raise.
Good-looking guy, lucky with the ladies, lucky at the tables.
Gus?
I was talking about Antonius, actually.
Yeah.
But of course, Gus Hansen, voted one of the sexiest people by People magazine.
Was that before Patrick came into poker?
I think so.
Does Phil Hellmuth get in that list, or Chris Ferguson?
Raise 3,400.
I'm going to ignore that comment.
Total bet. Called. 100 more. Thank you. Fold.
Ivy calls.
Call.
Tom Dwan's raise here on the button.
Call.
And we're going to see this
400.
4 ways.
No, I have some good reasons, David.
Change and you'll change.
Okay. Don't worry about it. I know it's not a first.
Antonius with a very interesting and creative hand there. And he could get himself in trouble here. We have 2 flush draws out there. Dwan with the ace high flush draw. Antonius with the 5 high. If a heart comes, he could get himself in a lot of trouble.
This could be really ugly.
Well, instead he's gotten lucky and he's caught a pair of 3s.
And the lead. Is that Patrick betting, Durr calling, Tom Dwan, and everyone else getting out of the way? He could even raise it, Tom Dwan.
Yeah, of course. You call him Durr there. That's his online name, which is where he made his name. Playing at full tilt, making millions of dollars.
Yeah. Anyone familiar with online poker knows the name Durr. He battles David Benjamin and Phil Ivey at full tilt all the time.
Six of diamonds on the river changes nothing. Action is on Patrick Antonius. Probably thinking, do I need to bet this?
I mean, we talk all the time about how crazy these guys are, but you know, they've learned so much about poker and it's such a deep thinking, and it's anyone at home watching this, just the amount of thought and education you can go to in poker. You know, if you want to be there and improve it, it's all there for you. And these decisions, so difficult.
Well, both these players take this game beyond levels that we've never seen. Pot is $33,000. Action on Patrick Antonius.
The game's improving, you know, and it's developing and evolving. And you can say in the same way that the golfers these days and the tennis players would match up very well against the counterparts of 30, 50 years ago. So are these poker players, and there's a good case for saying that these are some of the best players of all time.
Well, you see here, Tom Dwan, only 22 years old. And he's playing with some of the best, and he is thinking, obviously he has to bluff at this pot. He's only got ace high.
Betting 23.3.
Well, I must say firstly that Tom Dwan looks very nervous there.
300.
And he bets $23,000 here. And can Antonius call this?
I mean, he's played a lot online, Tom, but his body language is not one of confidence there, is it?
Well, it's one thing interesting to say. Durr is primarily an online player. Does that affect his live play here?
Well, I mean, it's easy to say when you're seeing the cards, but I would be able to pick that up at the table, and I think Patrick might be able to too.
Pot is $56,000, $23,000 to call. And this would be a world-class call from Antonius.
When the table's been showing a lot of bluffs, it makes it more likely that someone else is bluffing, and it might help Patrick make what would be an amazing call, but no.
Well, he doesn't make that amazing call. He's going to toss it in the muck.
That's a good reason.
And that's really the first thing that has gone Tom Dwan's way. It's been a terrible day for him so far, but he wins a big pot, and he needed that. Phil Ivey. Phil Hellmuth is taking a walk, taking a little bit of a break. Action on Alezra. Not going to play it.
Check, check. 8 of clubs on the turn.
Now they're playing seven-handed. Does that change anything?
7 to 8 is it is a difference. It does mean each hand slightly increases in value by about
I know things, okay?
by you know, a considerable percentage. So it does make a difference to the action. There'll be more action.
Well, we get a raise here from Gus Hansen, 2,200. Ivey's going to call on the button with the King 8 suited. And is that more about playing his position than playing the cards?
You know, there's implied odds with that hand. And you know, you're not going to go broke if a king comes.
Well, Hansen has outflopped him. He's caught second pair.
See, this works much better. At least now they have a chance.
And we get a very easy bet from Hansen. And Ivey throws it away.
Much better play. I mean, people don't do it often enough.
Buttons in front of Ferguson. Gonna get a limpers around there, but Ivey's gonna punish the limpers. He's gonna raise this up. He buys himself the button, and he's got a pair. Well, Patrick Antonius is definitely being a little bit more active here. He's gonna call this with Queen 9.
And he doesn't have a position after the flop. He's going to have to be acting first every time.
Of course, Benjamin in there as well with the Queen 8. And he's flopped the flush draw, Benjamin.
Check, check.
He would have, could have. Yeah, one more. I don't know if it's a good news or bad news, but we're getting Mike Mediso.
The tightest player is leaving the game.
We're getting Mike Mediso instead of Gassi. Instead of Gassi.
It's me, the tightest player is leaving.
He's leaving and we're getting Mikey.
Mike Madison.
Mikey, probably one of the best.
Mike at the mouth. He'll be joining us shortly. Pot is now 25,000. To the turn. Inconsequential, 3 of spades. It's not a bad card for Ivey. He's now picked up a gut shot.
Yeah, he does. And
And look at that, it goes check, check on the turn, and Ivy makes his set. He didn't need it, but it's going to make him feel better.
Well, it is, and it might make David inclined to have a pop, try and represent the 5 here.
Well, I mean, Benjamin's got to bluff at it if he wants to win this pot. But I'm going to go on a limb and say if Benjamin bluffs at this one, I think Ivy's going to call this one.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's a big bet. It's 20,000. Ivy will think about it. But I think at the end of the day, I don't think he can put Benjamin on a 5. And I think he's going to call this one with a set of 4s.
For sure. David's just played into Ivy's hand. I don't think we'll have a huge dwell up here. David's unfortunate, in fact. You know, he might have got away with it if the 4 hadn't come on the end.
And Ivy's going to raise this. And that's a question I was going to have you. Is there any value to raising this pot?
Well, I think there might be.
Thanks for that insight.
No, I mean, I think there might be because, you know, there are little bits of value in this spot where you could get called by a 2-pair or a top pair. It's not just about this particular pot, though. It's about all the history that they have between them as players.
Bluff?
Oh. I don't bluff.
Can I see one?
I don't bluff. I don't bluff. I told you that.
I had Queen 8, so it was hard, but I would like to see.
Queen 8? So why do you want to see the card anyway?
Maybe he had 9-10. Nice. Queen 8 of club.
Buttons in front of Elzra.
600 to call.
And it's 600 to call. Of course, the blinds are $300, $600, ante of 100.
22, 2,200. Total bet to call.
And we see a raise to 2,200 from Durr.
Fold.
He's under the gun there.
Fold.
Strong play to play a hand like that out of position, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the strengths and I suppose one of the weaknesses of his game is his ability to play any hand in any position and to utilize that ability often.
We'll start now, obviously.
I did my part.
And Elzra there on the button with the gap-suited connector, 8-6 of hearts. It's an interesting hand to play on the button.
8,200 total bet. Folding.
And we're going to see this heads up.
8,200 total bet.
Actually, Elzra re-raises.
Call.
Elzra re-raises this. And a call from Dewan, and this pot is quickly $18,000.
Yeah, they're playing deep. It's all about implied odds here. They both think if they hit a big flop, they could maybe crack the other one if they have a big hand.
Well, it's a pretty big flop for Elzra. Both players open-ended straight draws, but Elzra's got the pair.
Yeah, I actually really like this flop for action. I mean, with these two guys, they really could end up getting a lot of money in here.
I mean, you get a raise under the gun, you get a re-raise and a call. You'd expect both these players to have monsters.
Yeah.
And neither one does.
Bet.
Now this is a strong play. He is going to bet right into the razor.
12, 13, 1. No.
12-7.
And he bets $13,100
Yeah.
right into Eli Elzra.
I expect Eli to raise here.
12-7 to call.
He could just take one off, but I think he's going to raise.
I mean, he's got a pair and he's open-ended. If he's behind now, he's got a lot of outs.
And he's Eli Lesra.
There you go.
Which is the key factor.
Well, he's way ahead here. We can see the percentages. Obviously, it doesn't add up to 100 because it could be a chop pot if they both hit the straight. Pot is $30,700, $13,000 to call.
You bet 52 and a couple of bluffs in the corner. So. Oh, you can't say it was bad.
And I think we know he's not going to fold. It's just a matter of do you call or do you raise? And he just calls this.
300 chain.
And Tom Dwan getting a look at how many chips he has left.
102.4.
Both players very deep.
Wow, that changes nothing.
Yeah, that's pretty much a blank there, deuce of hearts.
That could be the action card, believe it or not. That could be the one that means there's a lot of money going in this pot. The pot's at a funny size for Eli's stack. Eli's got, he's still got 100,000 behind.
Check.
And does Eli take the free card, or does he try to get Dwan off of his hand? Well, he's not going to take the free card. He's going to bet it.
27.4.
And he bets $27,400.
27,400 is the bet.
Really putting the heat back on the internet phenom.
This could go any way, this pot. It's a fascinating pot, the way it's played out.
Now, for Dwan to win this pot, he actually has to catch a queen.
Or he has to make Eli fold.
Good point.
Called.
He's going to call this, and this pot is nearly $100,000.
I just want to sit a blank on the river would be the most interesting, like a 10.
Well, that's not a blank. If somebody was on a diamond draw, could they have the ace in their hand, theoretically?
Yeah, I mean, it's very possible to play ace bit of diamonds, but Tom gives up on the pot.
Well, it goes check, check. And Eli is going to win a big pot here. And Tom Dwan is going to be sick, losing a big pot. Probably has to wonder, could he have gotten him off that pair of sixes?
Yeah, you always, when that comes out, you really think, could I have fired the third bullet and got with it? And I know Durr has the heart to do that, but Eliezer had the heart to call it, and it was a fun pot.
And we can see that he is down $131,000.
Yeah, but that really isn't going to phase him.
Phil Hellmuth's taking a little bit of a break, apparently.
I think there was one card we pushed it all
Button in front of Gus Hansen.
Raise, 3,600 is a bet. Total bet, 3,600.
Well, Chris Ferguson doesn't play many hands, but he's going to play that.
Fold.
Yes, you play a pot.
Fold.
Last year when he played, I was I wasn't quite sure how he would measure up in a cash game against these players, but he did great last year, and he's doing well again today. And Tom Dwan's got big hand as well.
Fold.
A low flop could spell real trouble for Tom Dwan.
Tens and aces.
This
You wonder how much action is he willing to
this
give
is the
Chris
hand
Ferguson.
that he killed Phil Hellmuth with, 10 versus ace in the heads up. The king might be enough.
Check.
No draws out there whatsoever.
No, it's a pretty much as dry a board as you can get, and Chris is going to like his aces a lot.
And he's going to bet it.
It's unlikely that Dwan has two pair.
You're going to be next, buddy.
Very unlikely. Even Dwan against Ferguson heads up probably wouldn't be in there with 8-3 or king 3.
We're going to call you the third.
In Dwan's mind, there's so many hands that Chris could raise with.
Called.
Lane calls me Junior. You know I'm not the third.
Called.
Oh,
My
why
son's the third.
so why? Oh, his son is the third, but
Sorry.
he's the second. Sorry. So he's
Something
Dwan
like-
calls this, and
something
we're
like
going to a turn.
A low card here, and Dwan could do a lot of money. That is...
he'll be
Six of
after
hearts
Mike
on the turn.
He's the first, you're second.
Check.
And if you're Ferguson, do you bet this again, or do you check it, do a little bit of pot control?
Yeah, I think either play is not suboptimal. They're both things that you could say that's fine.
I mean, is his hand strong enough to get value on all three streets?
I think it is. There were certain rivers that would slow him down. A heart, a king.
Well, Ferguson is going to bet it. And Chris Ferguson bets 14,000.
That's about 75% of the pot. It's a pretty strong
Fold.
bet.
And Dwan takes it away. And look, we've got Mike Mattisau.
Mike Mattisau, the mouth arrives. Just walked straight onto the set. And he's coming in.
Mike the Mouth is in the house. He is, Mike the Mouth.
Unimaginable, Gussie.
He'll be joining us shortly. We're at FullTiltPoker.net $1 Million Cash Game.
That's basically the total of the blinds.
I think Gus has all the gears. I didn't know he had that tight gear. That's not a bad gear to have, Gussie. You know that. It's a little boring, but for you, you must be bored, right?
Nice try. Nice try.
Okay. Are you a little bored with it, Gussie?
No, I'm okay.
I think it's a good gear to have. I didn't know you had it.
I'm just watching.
Ivy's winning and I'm winning, so you're wrong.
Right. 2,100 total bet.
Patrick is losing and Dura is losing.
I didn't ask who was losing. I said who's playing the loosest.
2,100.
You've came over here and I play every hand so far. Phil play more hand than me by far.
Fold.
By far.
And fold. Call. Fold.
Chris play 4 hands.
2,100 total bet.
I said he was number one tightest. I wasn't worried about that.
Gus play
How
5.
about Gus? I think I played more than Gus.
You play more than
I'm
Gus.
going to play 5 in the first round.
Probably more than Helmut too.
Raise.
Who played more than me?
8,000 total bet.
You?
But Phil Ivey's going to do his best
Fold.
to make sure that no flop happens. He is raising it
9,000.
out of the
Total bet is
blinds.
9.
Huge raise.
All right, give you that.
He makes it 8,000 to go. And I'm not sure if anybody can call this one.
Well, I think if anyone was going to find a way, you've got two. I'd be surprised if they both fold.
$8,000 bet pre-flop here with deuce 3 offsuit.
I think Eli might fold, but I think Durr with the button is going to call.
Talk about a man with heart.
He's also a man stuck.
Ivey's actually up here. He's up over almost $40,000 right now.
They're just at totally ends of the deck, their cards.
Well, Tom Dwan has hit second pair here, but Ivey is certainly representing a big hand, maybe an overpair, isn't
Wouldn't
he?
it be interesting if Patrick was in with the jack and Eli with the 4 deuce of hearts? He could have had a pot, but
15.
Bet 15,000. 15,000 to call.
Well, Ivey bets 15,000. He puts the 22-year-old New Jersey native Dwan to the test.
from the same state.
Although I'm not sure if Tom Dwan has ever been to Atlantic City.
How is Phil gonna find a way to win this? This is tough.
Call.
Well, Dwan is going to call him.
15,000 called. 10 chain.
Ivey needs some sort of running cards, or he needs to get Dwan to fold. Pot is 54,000. Well, I don't think Dwan is going anywhere now. He's got trip 10s. And you can see that he can only lose the pot if he folds.
Check.
Ivey checks it.
I think Phil's given up, but
Obviously, Dwan doesn't know that. Trying to think of how do I extract the most value out of my opponent.
it's funny, at this point, there's more than one thought going through your head. You're just thinking of every possible combination and thinking, you know, what's going to happen down the line and the pot size and the history. It's amazing what goes through the top player's head at this point.
28, 5, 25, 28, 8.
Well, how about $28,800? That's what's going through your head.
105. 105 left.
Yeah.
He's thinking about the all-in. He is thinking about it.
Is he actually contemplating that?
This is not for show. Trust me. This is not for show.
Well, he knows Dwan doesn't necessarily need to have a hand to make that big bet. Pot is 83,300. It's 28,000 to call. And Ivey, obviously, he's not going to call this. He's pretty much going to move all in or fold.
I think his hand, he's probably going to fold. But
As we said earlier, not much has gone Duan's way.
Have you been over here in Europe since
This could turn the tides for him, though.
the whole time?
Duan staring intently at Phil Ivey, trying to pick up something, anything from the superstar.
Fold.
And Ivey's going to pick a better spot.
Yeah, you could just see he was thinking about it.
I'm David Tuckman alongside professional poker player Roland DeWolf.
Fold. Fold.
Buttons in front of 11-time bracelet winner Phil Helmuth.
Fold. Fold.
He picks the game.
He picked the game because he's older.
But the Great Dane Gus Hansen is going to raise it up here.
Call.
For sure, this is one of the game he told me.
Ivey's so active, playing so many pots.
Call.
He is.
There's gonna be a check and
They're all at the top end of the deck as well, which means that if, with the right flop, we could see bunches of action.
Well, it's a good flop for Chris Ferguson.
Really?
Check.
It's a very good flop for Chris Ferguson. He went from no outs to like, you know, a massive favourite.
I think he wants to play like 5 card stars.
Check.
Of course, top pair there for Ferguson, playing it very slowly. Is that dangerous? There are a lot of overcards there. If a queen comes, a jack comes, or an ace comes.
How hard could it be?
You play, right, David?
Well, he's going to bet on the turn now.
5,000.
He's pretty sure he's good
It
now.
is dangerous.
Cards you have 9, 10, the other guy has 5. 32 cards.
Gus has a wheel draw. He also has 2 overcards to the board.
Is that a real poker game? How are you playing the 32 cards? Which cards should take away? What are you talking about?
Okay, start at 7. Gus is in the end, boys.
That's okay.
Okay, now keep going.
Things are tight.
It's only part feel on the game.
Gus Hansen playing very conservatively today. He's going to pick a better spot.
How can you not hear
And
about
Chris Jesus Ferguson going to take another pot down.
He's going to do the opposite of Junior.
Buttons in front of Chris Ferguson. Small blind 300, big blind 600. Gus Hansen, he's first to act. He's under the gun.
I mean, I know you're quitting in like 10 minutes, so you're either trying to go off or you're trying to continue to play patiently. I don't know.
So either you're saying he had a good hand or he didn't basically.
That's a good read, Phil.
This could be the last hand.
I mean, dude, you have to come in here and like kill my action.
Yeah,
I
but now
fold.
you got it. Now you got
For years, I got away with those statements. You had to just show up and like kill it, right? State the obvious. Embarrass poor Phil.
I'm sorry. My bad, Phil. I didn't realize.
Oh, it's all good.
Man, he's in there. I can't even bet blind. I mean, that's pretty.
We know I can't see it for sure.
Eliel's right in there. Gus Hansen.
Wow.
With top pair, he's got 2 pair.
Hand I folded last time.
Nobody's got a 9.
Ace 9 of diamonds.
And Gus Hansen's in very good shape. Interestingly enough, though, David Benjamin with the spade draw, Ivey with the bigger spade draw.
I don't think David has done anything yet.
Not much there for Elzra.
Called. Called.
Now we get a bet here from Gus Hansen, a call from Benjamin, and then a call from Ivey.
Folded.
God damn.
Might Hansen put one of those players on the 9?
Damn.
Can one of these players represent that 9?
I mean, Gus, you know, leaving next hand as well, it's pretty tough. Now David went ahead of Phil.
Of course, Ivey's got position. Hansen's got the hand. Benjamin's now got a pair of 10s, two pair, 10s and 9s, with the ace kicker. Pot is $24,000. You know, and you see that flop there, ace 9-9. You bet with the ace, and you get called in two spots. You got to be a little scared.
Yeah, I think you're less scared than you are against normal, regular players, because either of these guys, both of them are perfectly capable of calling without a 9. But of course, you're going to shut down. I don't think Gus should be betting too much on the turn. There's pot management at work. It's also his last hand, so that creates another dimension. He might want to get out, fairly close to even.
Bet.
We hear Gus is going to be leaving.
8, 11-1.
And he bets $11,100 into a $24,000 pot. Is it too small a bet? Or is it kind of an information fact-finding bet?
I don't know if you will find that much out against these two guys. You might find out if someone has a 9, but you're not going to find out much else. You won't find out if your ace kicker is good. You might not even find out if someone has a 9 there, but could opt to just call. So I don't know. I like the check there.
It was actually, yeah, the bet from Hansen, $11,000 bet there. Benjamin calls. And the action...
And Ivy's just priced in.
Action over to Ivy. With the nut flush draw here. But of course, the paired board. Do you want to be going for that flush with the paired board?
I think we'd see this pot play out very differently if that 9 of hearts was something like a 7 of hearts.
What is it, 11-1?
11-1, yeah.
And he is going to call this. If a spade comes off, we could see some fireworks. Benjamin needs a 10 to win this pot.
7 spades in that deck.
Oh, that's a beautiful, beautiful card if you're Hansen. Pretty sure now you probably have the best hand.
Check.
And he's going to check it, and I like the check.
Check.
Induce that bluff, but everybody's going to check behind him.
Yeah.
And Hansen's going to take a big pot down. And we hear this is his last hand, so it's a nice way to go out.
Yeah.
Full house, aces and 9s.
Going out on a high.
4.
Ivy's just had a smile. Like, that's one of those sessions for Phil. But he'll be back. He just had a few hands in a row. It hasn't gone his way, but he'll be back.
Gus Hansen up $34,800.